thought it'd be a good thing if in the future, many of you have got gardens and you've all got video cameras these days, took some video of your garden and we featured it on Growpath. I think it'd be really nice to see other people and what they've got. So to make it a bit easier, I thought I'd start with ours and take 2 or 3 minutes of film and then see where it leads us and see how you feel about things. So we began to cover the back fence, very high 7-foot picket fence. And we've got a pergola leading out from the side of the house with that ultraviolet material. And we've been busily growing over the last 3 or 4 years all this stuff down the side. And if we turn around down here, you'll see the sheds at the bottom. They were 2, I thought, very ugly iron sheds. And we managed to come up with some ideas for making them look a little better. And that was to put lattice and some white iron and then grow a banana passion fruit over it and some wisteria on the other side to begin covering up those. We were living on a 5-acre property out in the bush for a while, and while we were there we found some old bed heads. So we added some iron to the bottom of those, and my wife painted a plank. We made some fairly rough garden seats, and they're not that comfortable, but they're too good to throw away. We've created 3 or 4 nooks like this around the house in different areas, so that in the winter in particular we can get on the non-windy side of the house and have a quiet cup of tea in those chilly days when you get some bleak sunshine. So if you're out of the wind, a little bit of bleak sunshine, it isn't too bad. When we arrived, this was an above-ground swimming pool that covered all of this. You can see the remnant path around it that was fully corroded, leaking, full of pea green water and a dreadful eyesore. And we're not into that sort of thing, so I had it removed. Sold it on eBay actually, and then I dug out a little goldfish pond, put a bridge across it, and then bought a gazebo and had that installed. We argued on the price by taking the letterbox out the front as well, and saved ourselves a few $100s, and that's been quite pleasant in the summer. To the right here, we also, against the back of the house, we planted a lot of fruit trees, and we've been having a number of plums and pears and peaches from there in its first year, although curly leaf's getting in. And on the side wall where there was one of those Muna vines, I think it's called, we also planted a passion fruit now, and it's dropping passion fruit regularly. Back fence I planted these Cocos Island palms and created a garden bed, but they're growing very slowly, and at least it covers the fence, and it's the best we could probably say for it. Birds seem to like it though, as you just saw. Back of the gazebo, and with the neighbour's fence on the left-hand side, I put in a little path. Unfortunately, it was too narrow. I should have made it 2 slabs wide. Don't undo them, you can't get wheelbarrows through. And I planted cane and all sorts of leftovers on either side, both to make the gazebo look much nicer inside, you know, because you've got green just outside it, and secondly to provide a little kind of private walk around and a bit of the garden you can't normally see. I'll now have a look out the front and show you what we've done there, which is quite different. Drive. We just couldn't get anything to grow, it was awful. But slowly over time we've managed to find that lavender in particular goes well, and a few tougher things like oleander we've got in now, so they'll grow up and provide some real colour. And in a few spots we've got these little roses and things which I think are really nice and break the colour on that side. We've also delineated our front drive with a line of dietes. They'll grow anywhere, and they can be a problem because these are all very small when we put them in, and 18 months later they're huge, but they're wonderful in flower, and they do provide a lovely sort of hedge-like boundary. And this whole front area was covered with 3 trees, all of which were dangerous, one on an angle of about 25 degrees and ready to fall down at any stage. So we had the trees removed and got a few quotes, and those quotes vary from 3,000 to 1,000 just in passing, so I always get a quote. And we had a path put in, and then we planted very, very specifically with natives that we loved, and this has been, I think, a splendid success, and the birds are certainly beginning to love it. And you know, you can see this sort of thing even after flowering, they still look, well, most of the main flowering is gone, but the garden's like that probably a month ago, about mid-August, September. And also hidden in amongst it all, I put a little bird bath, normally full of water, but today's a day of 35 and it's all been boiled away. I also put a lot of rocks around the bottom to provide a hiding place for spiders and little lizards and things like that, and have progressively planted things that I've found in other people's gardens they're very successful. I just take a cutting, if it looks good, and I dip it in honey, which is a great root hormone developer, pop it into a pot full of very friable soil or potting mix, give it a couple of months, and I've got about an 80% success rate for some of these things, so you can really pick the best that works in your area. I'll comment, we inherited a couple of plants along here which I left in, the camellias, but what we did add were two large, or two small at the time, Acer palmatums, the Japanese maples, in the front of the house to provide both shade and also to cover up our front lounge and dining rooms from the street. And they've been enormously successful. They're green, they take rotten conditions, they love growing there in poor soils next to eucalypts and things, and so that's just really made it wonderful. Very, very happy with the outcome of them in particular. So we're not purist native gardeners. The bottom, which was wet, and we popped in another rambling rose, a briar rose, and that's really nice for people as they come past. I keep it trimmed well back. If you're walking past, that's a nice thing to see, I think, against what was a very bad empty area 5 years ago. So that's it from me. I really look forward to hearing from you guys.